Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sit down, please. I would like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. To study every day is very important. To make a daily effort is very important. To study every day is very important. To achieve a small thing every day is very important. To make a daily effort is very important. To make a little effort every day is important. To listen to what your parents say is important. To listen to the lecture is important. To eat vegetables is important. To take the balance of your health. To take the course is necessary. To meet the requirements is very difficult. To meet the requirements of the university is very difficult. To finish the job by today is very difficult. To finish the job by the end of this week might be very difficult. To be kind to the elderly is very important, well, of course. To be considerate to other people is very important. To treat everyone fairly is important. To ask a question to the teacher might be good. To eat lunch at the cafeteria today might be a good idea. To go home straightly is a good idea to save money and save your own time. To go home directly from the workplace is very important to have your own time. To drink coffee after meal is my daily routine. To drink a cup of coffee after eating lunch is my daily routine. To drink 2 cups of coffee after eating lunch is not my daily routine. To brush my teeth before going to sleep is my daily routine. To brush my teeth before breakfast is my daily routine. To wash my face before going to school is my daily routine. To read a book is one thing, and to put it into practice is another. To obtain knowledge from the book is one thing, and to put it into practice is another. To obtain the knowledge from the book is one thing. To put it into practice is another. To obtain the knowledge from the book is one thing, and to put it into practice is another. To put it into practice is another. To obtain the knowledge is one thing, and put it into practice is another. Put it into practice is another. To tell a thing is easy, but to put it into practice is difficult. To complain is easy, but to put it into practice is difficult. To say is easy, but to put it into practice, 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 put it into practice is difficult. Put it into practice is difficult. Put it into practice is difficult. To study every day is very important. To make a daily effort is very important to achieve your goal. To stack up a small thing every day is very important to achieve your goal. Because the volume of effort, the amount of effort is limited a day. So to stack up a small effort every day is very important. To stack up a small effort. To stack up small effort is important. To stack up small effort is important. To stack up small effort every day is important because the amount of effort we can do every day is limited. So to stack up small effort every day is important. My hobby is to listen to music. My hobby is to listen to classic music. My hobby is to listen to rock music. My hobby is to read a book at the library. My hobby is to read a book at the library. My hobby is to read books at the library. My hobby is to read books in the library. My daily routine is to speak English every day. My daily routine is to speak to myself in English. My daily routine is to speak to myself in English. My first priority is to give my seats to the elderly. My first priority to help elderly people in the trains. My first priority in my life is to do what I like. My first priority in my life is to do what I like. My first priority in my life is to do what I like. My first priority in my life is to do what I like, what I'm interested in. The first priority in my life is to do what I am interested in. The first priority in my life is to do what I like, to do what I'm interested in. The worst thing is to lose a way, to be at lost, to get lost in the middle of the mountain. The worst scenario, the worst situation is to get lost in the middle of the mountain. The worst situation is to get lost in the middle of the desert. The worst situation, the worst scenario is to get lost in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the mountain. My dream is to be a doctor. What is your dream? My dream is to be a lawyer. My dream to be a teacher. My dream is to be a teacher because I like children. I want to educate children so that they will be good adults in the future, which will help better society in the future. My dream is to be a curator in the amusement park, in an amusement park. My dream to be a curator in an amusement park. Amusement park. Museum. My dream is to be a curator in a museum. My dream is to be a curator in a museum. My dream is to be a pilot. I decided to study English every day. I decided to take the lesson twice a week. I decided not to stop by at the restaurant on my way home today. I decided not to go to the restaurant today. I decided not to go out today. Please try to make other people happy. Please try to finish the job by the end of this year. Please try to finish the job by the end of this week. Please try to finish the job by the end of this week. Please try to remember what I said when you get into this situation again. Okay. I tried to unlock the container, but I couldn't. So I ended up breaking it by hammer. I tried to open the door, but I couldn't, so I broke it. I started to study Italian recently. I like to drink a cup of coffee at the cafe because the coffee is very tasty, very gorgeous. I like to drink a cup of coffee at the restaurant. I like to have coffee after the meal. I like to have coffee after the lunch. I like to have coffee after lunch. I like to have coffee after lunch. It can be very dangerous to drive in snowy day. It can be very dangerous to drive on icy road. It can be very dangerous to drive in rainy days. It can be very dangerous to drive in snowy days. It is very important to study English every day for me. It is very important to study English. It is very important for me to study English every day to achieve some of my goals. It is very important to listen to the lecture carefully so that you won't lose the credit. It is very important to listen to the professor saying. Listen to the professor carefully so that you will not lose the credit. So that you can get the credit. It is very important to study English every day. It is very important to eat vegetables too. It is very rude to speak with your mouth full. It is very rude to speak with your mouth full. It is very rude to speak while eating. It is very difficult for me to understand the movie It is very difficult for me to pass the entrance examination of the university. It is very important to study English every day. It is very important to arrive at the airport 2 hours before the departure. It is necessary. It is necessary for you to take the vitamin pills 3 times a day after meals. It is essential. It is essential that you should finish the job by the end of this week. It is essential that you take part in the class 7 times at least a month. It is essential that you should take the vitamin pills. It is essential for you to attend the meeting. It is essential for you to meet the requirement. It is necessary for you to achieve the goal. It is necessary for you to meet the goals, meet the requirement. It is essential for you to pass some of the exams. It is essential for you to meet the requirements. It is essential for you to meet the requirements. It is essential for you to meet the requirements. It is difficult for me to study English. It is difficult for me to understand the movie. It is very difficult for me to understand what the foreign people say. It is very difficult for me to understand foreign people talking around me on the street. It is very difficult for me to understand English movie. Is it also difficult for you to understand English movie? I find it difficult to understand English movie. I found it difficult to understand English movie. I often find it difficult to understand what the foreign people say. I often find it difficult to understand what the foreign people say. I often find it difficult to understand what the foreign people say. I often find it strange to take umbrella in sunny days. I think it necessary to study every day. I think it crazy to speak loud in public. I think it necessary to be quiet in the library because everyone is reading a book. I think it necessary to be prepared for emergency. I find it important to be ready for emergency. I think it important to be prepared for emergency. I think it important to be prepared for emergency. I find it important to be ready for emergency, to be prepared for emergency anytime. The inventor made it possible to take travel by planes. Some inventors made it possible to communicate through the internet. The new technology made it possible to communicate by internet. The new technology made it possible to communicate smoothly with 5G. The new technology will make it possible for the cars to fly in the sky like plane. The new technology will make it possible for the cars to fly like a plane, like planes. I consider it normal to wash my face before going to work. I consider it normal to study English every day after work. I consider it, of course, to give my seat to the elderly. I consider it, of course, to give my seat to the elderly. I consider it normal to arrive at the airport 2 hours before the departure time. I think it normal and necessary, important, to arrive at the airport at least 2 hours before the departure time. I think it important and essential, necessary to arrive at the airport 2 hours before the departure time. I find it important to arrive at the airport at least 2 hours before the departure. I find it very important to arrive at the airport 2 hours before the departure. I find it very important to arrive at the airport at least 2 hours before the departure. I think it very important to arrive at the airport 2 hours before the departure. I think it very important to reach the airport 2 hours before the departure time. I find it very important to reach the airport at least 2 hours before departure. I find it very important to get to the airport 2 hours before the departure. I find it very important to read the instructions before you make it. I think it very important to read the instructions before you complete it, before you make it, before you create it, before you set up it. I find it very important. I find it very important to read the instructions, to read the instructions before you set up it. She is the last person to drink alcoholic beverages. She is the last person to smoke a cigarette. She is the last person to use a smartphone. She is the last person to use a smartphone. He is the last person to use a personal computer. He is the last person to use a computer. He is the last person to use new technology, such as smartphone and so on. He is the last person to take a plane. He is the last person to travel with plane. He is the last person to take a travel, to have a trip, to take a trip with the plane. My friend is the last person to study. My friend is the last person to study. My grandparents are the last elderly people to use new technology. This is the product to be sold out. This is the last product to be sold out. This is the last watch to be sold. This is the last expensive watch to be sold. This is the last expensive car to be sold. This is the last car to be sold. This is the last car to be sold. This is the last car to be sold. He is the last person to be influenced by the opinions of those around him. He is the last person to be influenced by the opinions of those around him. My teacher is the last person to be influenced by the opinions of those around him. My common teacher is the last person to be influenced by the opinions of those around him. I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to be finished by tomorrow. I have more work to do than you. I have more work to be finished by tomorrow than you. This is a project to be achieved by next year. This is the project to be achieved by next year. This is the jacket. This is the new product to be sold next month. This is the new product to be sold next month. This is the new design to be adapted at the company as logo. This is the new design to be put on the goods, on the product. This is the new design to be used for the at the company. This is the new design to be add on the product. This is the new design to be used for the magazine. This is the new graphic design to be used on the magazine headline. I have more to be finished by tomorrow than you. I have more to learn from others than you. I have more to learn than you. I have more that I should learn. I have more to learn from others than you. This is the guitar that I want to give you. This is the guitar that I want to sell. This is the guitar to be sold from tomorrow. This is the guitar to be sold at the store from tomorrow. These are the products to be sold at the store from tomorrow. These are the products to be shipped to the company by next week. These are the products to be shipped to the company. These are all the products to be shipped today. These are all the products. These are the products to be shipped by today. These are the products that should be shipped by today. These are the products. These are the goods. These are the orders to be finished sending by today. These are the goods to be shipped by today. These are the goods to be shipped by today. These are the goods to be shipped by today. This is the candy to be selling the best in the store. I have many things to be finished. I have many things to do at the work. I have many things to be finished by next week. I have many things to do. I have many things to do. I have a pile of work to do. I have a pile of work to be finished by next week. I have a pile of work to be finished by tomorrow. I have a pile of work to do. I have a pile of work to do. I have a pile of work to do. This car has the capacity to carry up to 8 passengers. This car has the capacity to carry up to 8 passengers. The plane has the capacity to carry 150 passengers at once. Do you have the ability to speak English? Do you have the ability to create a programming? Programming. Do you have the ability to make a programming? Do you have the ability to make programs? Do you have the ability to make programs? Do you have the ability to make programs for computer games? Do you have the ability to swim 50 kilometers? Do you have the ability to run 100 meters within 10 seconds? Do you have the ability to speak Spanish? I don't have the ability to speak Spanish, but I have the ability to speak Japanese. I will praise your attempt to try again and again after tons of failures. I will praise your attempt to try again and again after many failures. I want to praise your attempts, your many attempts to try again and again. I like your attempts to try and again and again. The attempt to try a new product ended up failure. His attempt to launch a rocket failed. His attempt to start a new company failed. His attempt to start a new product failed. Succeeded. His endless attempts to achieve his goal succeeded in the long run. Finally, his attempt to make his goal, his attempt to achieve his goal succeeded finally. His attempt to invent a new product succeeded finally. His endless attempt to invent new technology succeeded. His endless attempt to invent a new technology succeeded. His attempt to get Academy Award succeeded, achieved. His attempt to get Academy Award was made true, was bear fruit. What do you think of his attempt to go into the new field? What do you think of his attempt to sneak into the house? What do you think of his attempt to give his girlfriend a flower? What do you think of his attempt to create a new project? I cannot understand what I'm saying, but I'm just creating random sentences, so don't worry. His attempt to pass all the entrance examinations of the university failed. His attempt to pass the entrance examination of the university succeeded. Do you have the courage to jump from the ladder? Do you have the courage to propose to your girlfriend? Do you have the courage to propose to your girlfriend? Do you have the courage to speak in front of the public, in front of the people? Do you have the courage to sing in front of people? No one will agree to the decision to give citizens such a small amount of money. No one will agree to the decision to have a company picnic in this serious situation. No one will agree to the decision to have a picnic in this serious situation. I want to praise your effort to study English every day. I want to praise your effort to clean our room every morning. I would like to thank your effort to clean our room every morning. Your daily effort to study English will bear fruit. Your daily effort to study English will bear fruit. Daily small effort to study English will bear fruit in the future. The effort to stack up small things will bear fruit in the future. The effort to stack up small things daily is very important. The effort to stack up small things daily is very important. I don't have the intention to give you a surprise today. I didn't have the intention to give you the surprise last year. I will not have the intention to give you a surprise on your birthday. I didn't have the intention to deceive you. The businessman might have the intention to deceive us. The businessman might have the intention to deceive us. Do you have the plan to go abroad this year? Do you have the plan to take a trip to foreign countries this year? I don't have the plan to go abroad this year. I don't have the plan to take a trip to another country this year. I don't have the plan to take a trip to London this year. Do you remember the promise to return 10,000 yen to me? Do you remember the promise to go to Universal Studios Japan with me? Do you remember the promise to go to Universal Studios Japan with me? I'm sorry, I forgot the promise to go to Universal Studios Japan with you. I'm sorry. I remembered, so we can go. People under 18 don't have the right to vote at the election. People under 20 years old don't have the right to drink alcoholic beverages. You don't have the right to enter this room, so get away. You don't have the right to enter this room. You don't have the right to enter this country. You don't have the right to take this examination. You don't have the right to create a credit card. You don't have the right to take this examination. Do you have the right to make a decision in your company? Do you have the right to make a decision in your company on behalf of the company? Do you have the right to make a decision on behalf of your company? Do you have the right to make a decision on behalf of your company? Okay, I will finish talking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.